Right, okay, right. So, what's the idea of this? Give you some practical tips within a process for agreeing compensation events so that they're agreed more quickly, amicably, and with less hassle. So there's a bit of research years ago which said, how do individuals judge a project as a success? It's got nothing to do with time, cost and quality outcomes, it's how much hassle I had at a personal level in delivering it. So this is about personal level hassle, minimum hassle. But it's also, at a business level, this bit. Does this work, Glenn? It can't be seen. Anyway, the employer gets better work for less, so less cost of compensation events. The contractor actually makes more profit, which is what they're interested in. Okay. What am I going to talk about? Very little bit about me, an overview of the compensation event process. The main emphasis on this is on the process and tips, and then a little bit, if I have time, of reflection actually, where you get a takeout, and that's where I just give you a bit of time to say what can you apply, basically. So as I'm saying this, think through. If you take, some people say if they go to training or a conference, if there's one bit of useful stuff they can take away and apply, then potentially that's a worthwhile use of a day. As I'm going through this, think about the top tip you can take away and apply on your projects and go, that would be helpful and useful. Okay, so very little bit about me. I'm a genuine NEC geek. I'm a genuine geek. I've been called a lot of other things as well. I got involved way back in 1993 when I approached Martin Barnes' wingman, Professor John Perry, and said, basically, all this good stuff that you taught me at university, I've been out on site, and it's not that the theory doesn't work. There is no theory in practice from what I could tell. And this was the University of Birmingham, so he said, have you heard of NEC? So yes, I had heard of the National Exhibition Centre. I nodded my head, and it turned out that he was the co-instigator of it. I did, in that research, I looked at 29 projects in practice. I interviewed formally 99 people and derived from it various models of good practice. So what we're actually going to talk about is what seemed to work on site when people were agreeing £1 million compensation events in a week, and you go back 20 years and that's £2 million, okay, versus other sites where you got the long tail of a claim, okay, and enhanced by experience, etc. I'll put some other things in there, but I'll get on to the main bit. What we're not talking about is we're not going to be talking about the early warning process. We're not going to be talking about whether it is or isn't a compensation event. We're not going to be talking about whether there's the 8-week time bar applies or not. What we're going to be talking about is why did some people do the from give me a quotation and get to acceptance in a week versus others go round and round in a loop of resubmission and so on. Okay? So, why pre-assess? Well, for the employer, you know what you'll pay if you can pre-assess it. Bit of price certainty. That's worth something. For the contractor to pre-price it, you as the employer or the project manager have to give them good quality information, and then they can program it out, price it, work efficiently. Okay? So you pay less. And I'll say now, and I'll say it again, the biggest complaint from contractors when I was doing my research was, we're just told to solve the problem. So we come up with what we think is a good solution, and then